Welcome to Platform Analytics Academy. We appreciate you joining as usual. Hopefully today you'll get some really great things out of what we have planned to talk about and also show you in demo. So let's get right into it. So as usual, this is always for you. Try to bring fresh ideas, better understanding, and some practical guidance. Today we're going to be talking about filters. So we're going to have quite a few demos about different ways of doing filters within Platform Analytics. So this will be really good for our library and also YouTube, but also for you as well. So you can learn from that and use it going forward. This is recorded as usual, so it will be out on our community later on today or tomorrow, and also out on our YouTube channel. And please feel free to ask questions. If you can use the Q&A, that is the best place to do it. We do have other panelists that are on that can answer questions via type if they can. If a question does come in that is relevant to where we are, we may stop the prezo or demo and actually ask that questions. And if there's any questions that are unrelated to the content that we're covering today, you can definitely ask those as well. But if those get answered live, they'll be after we get done with everything else. And then if we don't get to your question, we definitely apologize, but you can definitely ask the question in the community and tag any one of us, and we'll try as hard as we can to get you the answer for that. So as usual, safe harbor. I don't know that there's necessarily anything in this today that warrants this, but we always feel as though it's important to have it here so you're aware of it. So please keep safe harbor in mind as you are watching everything that we have today. And again, my name is Thomas Davis, and I have Olga on, and she is also going to do some presenting here in a little bit, some demo stuff. And then we have Dan here, and I believe that Marta is here. Dan, maybe if you can check in the panelist, maybe she might need to be promoted. I don't know, but I know that she said she was coming. So she'll be here. And then also Resbuk, I'm probably going to say his name wrong, but he may be here as well. So with that, like I said, today we are going to talk about filters inside of Platform Analytics. So that is our trend that we're talking about, is Platform Analytics, knowing that that's what we are wanting everybody to sort of move over to. It is the latest and greatest. So we felt it was important to have a session where we could talk to you about the way that you can use filters inside of Platform Analytics. So a couple things. So, filters, filter lists and data visualizations on dashboards. It gives you the ability to look at those data visualizations in a different way. They're not that much different than what a filter was, or an interactive filter or a breakdown, I guess you could say. In performance analytics, the big difference is that it's unified now, right? And you've probably heard that phrase. It is unified in the sense of one filter on a dashboard should be able to filter anything that's on that dashboard. So obviously, if it is relevant to the data that you're presenting on that dashboard, you can filter whether it's pointing to a table, where it's pointing to an indicator, anything of that nature. So unified filters is the big thing. So if you have the analytics filter admin role, you can save filters to the library. So there is a filters library, just like there's a data visualization library. So if you have that role, you can create a filter directly in the filter library, or you could actually take one of the filters that's on your dashboard and save that to the library as well. Dashboards that are created in the inline editor, filters will retain their values across logins or page refreshes. But for technical dashboards and pages created in UI Builder, they do not retain their values across logins or refreshes. So just some housekeeping things just to kind of think about as we go into this. So the way that you can get to whether you want to create a filter directly in the library, or you want to obviously create a filter on a dashboard, is what you're seeing here on the screen. So if you search for Platform Analytics in the filter navigator, you will see under library, you'll see filters. And again, we'll show that actually here in a little bit. I'll actually show you how to create one directly in the library. And then if you're going to add a filter to a dashboard, obviously when you're editing that dashboard and you click on add a new element, one of the options there is filter. So these are the two ways that you can do that. And just for the sake of telling you, so if you're in a technical dashboard, in the technical dashboard editor, the UI Builder admin role is actually required to create a filter there. So those are the ways that you can actually get to it, creating it on the dashboard or creating it inside of the library. So real quickly, let's kind of talk about some of the filters that are out there. So some of the most basic ones obviously would be a single or a multi-select filter. And you can see that here that we This is what a single select would look like. So if you select on the priority here on the left, you can actually see that it is, let me play that again. It is selecting one particular priority at a time. And you can see over on the right for a multi-select, we have the ability to select multiple filters at a time. So it does give you the ability to do a single or multiple select, and we'll actually get in how you actually create that. So another thing that you can do once you've created your single or multiple select filter is you can actually select what values you actually want to be displayed in that list. So if you decide that you want to just show, for example, for a priority, you just want to show critical and high, you can set that. And that was right over in the configuration. And you can see there under configuration and values, that's where you'll actually select. So based on what your data source is, it'll know what values that are there. And then again, you can actually select and decide which ones that you actually want to show. So that's a really good thing if you know that some of the values in some sort of particular field or maybe are never filled, never have any values in that, maybe you just don't want that there, you can decide to not actually show those. Another great thing is you can actually set default values. So there is a default value section in the configuration as well of that filter. And here, again, it knows what's in that filter value based on the data source that we selected for this particular one, which is just incident priority. And you can see here that I actually didn't click down on it, but you can see that by default, high is actually showing. So again, if there was a particular thing that you felt was important to make sure that when the dashboard loads, one particular value was important to have there by default, you could definitely set the default value and use that there for that functionality. So a really great thing that's right at your fingertips that you can do. So another big one that that we talk about and we hear about quite often is create a cascading filter. So I will tell you, if these demos inside of this are moving kind of fast, don't sweat it. These I'll make sure that these are obviously in the community and also in the when you're watching it in YouTube or whatnot or in the community, you can obviously pause and close or whatnot. So the what we're trying to do with a cascading filter is in this example, we're basically saying, okay, I want to look at the manager of a particular assignment group and then actually see the users that report up to that particular manager that are in the assigned to. And basically what you want to do is you want to make sure that it is filtering that information down. So you don't want to, click on a manager and then actually see names that are obviously not relevant to that particular manager. So here we're looking at the assignment group manager, and we're going to look at those particular users that are there. And basically, we just created two, and we'll exit here and we'll show the first thing. So here we can select on the manager, and now Able Tutor, the incidents will actually filter down to him. So now we have it at the manager level, and that's great. But now I want to see the actual assigned to manager of that. So of Able Tutor's employees, which one of them actually has incidents that are assigned. So here we'll just create another filter, and we're going to make this a multi-select. That way, if he wants to see more than just one there, and we'll call it group. And again, we're going to look at the incident table, and then we're going to look at, we'll kind of catch up here. We're going to look at the assignment group, and then we'll apply that. And then we want it to follow the manager. So when we click save and hit exit, now you'll actually be able to see. So I select Able Tutor, and I can see the assignment groups that are associated with him. And you could do this down to the assigned to as well. So here he had three particular assignment groups that were associated with him. And we basically created the manager, which is basically the manager of the assignment group. And we saw that we could filter that data down by Able Tutor. And then we said, okay, now show me the actual assignment groups that he's responsible for. And then in the next cascading filter, we were able to actually see that group. So this is something that we have definitely seen a lot of questions in the community about. And obviously this can get very complex based on what you can do with the cascading filter. This is a very generic sort of demo of this particular functionality, but that ability is there. And basically selecting follow that manager once you create that second filter is what you want to actually do to make that work. So we have questions. Should we stop?
Yeah,
Okay,
we had a couple.
so
Yeah, we do have a couple here.
let's see what we
Um,
got here. Let me
there's
see.
a couple in the Q&A panel and then a couple in the chat. I'm trying to encourage the people in the chat to put it in the
Yeah.
Q&A. Just a reminder to do that, and it's not because not because we're trying to be picky, but because it actually really does help keep track of the questions that are asked, and it's a lot easier for us to be able to summarize them for you later if they're in the Q&A panels.
Yeah, so let's see. So I have managed to get cascading filters working the way you describe using tables, but never using breakdowns and breakdown relationships. Are you going to cover how to do that in any way today? So a little bit later, I'm sorry, Olga is going to do a demo, but Olga, I don't know that you're actually going to show cascading filters using breakdowns, are you?
No, at the moment we don't have this capability. So if you have the breakdown relationship as are following the standard, it would just work the same way. You just configure it the same way. But if we have a custom relationship, that's currently we don't have this capability to define cascading filters. So that's is not available at this moment.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. And then the other one in the chat is, can you show the drill down functionality? Can we have multiple breakdowns act as filters? So we're going to show data visualizations acting as filters a little bit later in a demo. And I, again, Olga, I don't know if you're going to touch on, breakdowns acting as filters, because you're going to show creating some filters on breakdowns of indicators, correct?
We can demo that too.
Yep, yep. Okay, so we'll get that. So what else do we have over here? So I see that Dan is answering one. Can the cascading filter items be based on different tables? So there has to be some sort of association there. You can see that when in this particular example, so it went to the sys user group, and that particular group kind of corresponds to the assignment group that is within those particular tables. So there is a relationship there. Olga, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, so there's two ways how you can the cascading filters work today. Is a direct relationship. So you can say in this example, right, the sys user group table where assignment groups are stored has a field called manager. So you saw in the configuration of group manager filter, we say data to filter is sys user group manager. So in this case, you have this toggle just directly to allow you to follow this filter. The other option is you can configure it through the many-to-many relationship. So, for example, and I think Thomas, you
Yeah,
will
we're
have
going
it
to
on
show
the
that here in a
slide.
second. Yep.
That one is example of this would be show me the users who are belong to this group. So I select this user group, and can I see the users who belong to this groups is in assigned to so the many-to-many relationship. So there's two types of this use cases where we support for the cascading filters. So you need some kind of connections that a system can know how to filter data.
Okay, and then the top one here, can you filter out the assignment groups the manager does not manage, limited visibility to the other groups? So I'm guessing what they're meaning is when you get about right here, basically, and Dwayne, help me if I'm correct, you don't want to even see those grayed out. You just want to see the three. Is that what you're saying? And I don't know I don't know that we can remove that. I'm sure probably there's some sort of scripting, but obviously we want to stay away from that. But Olga, Marta, you have any insight on actually not having those in there at all?
You can configure it through that. Like if you never want to see some things, you will limit it, and I will show in the demo how to limit for the reference filters. For example, how to show in the manager right now, we configured that it shows just all users, so we can like filter it to show only managers or only specific managers of specific assignment group, or this like things like this. So yeah, that's possible to limit. So but those kind of full limitations you do during configuration, it will not be dynamic, right? In this case, on the cascading filters, it's more of the dynamic logic. You select one value and another's filters. And in this case, we still show the rest of the values, which was originally possible as a grayed out. So user can easily see, hey, those filters are right now not visible just because you selected some other filter on the page.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, let's keep going here. So again, we're going to actually have some live demo. Olga's going to do some live demo, so that hopefully will answer some of the questions that are coming in as well. So let's see here. So and Olga actually just talked about this, right? The many-to-many relationship. So here you can see in this particular example where we're going to create a new filter and we're going to call it assignment group. And we're going to go ahead and go directly to the incident table, and we're going to select that particular one. And then we're going to add another filter. And this is going to be assigned to. And again, we'll go to the incident table. And we will select the assigned to. And then you'll notice we'll tell it to follow the assignment group. And the sys user group, let me pause that. Oh, I should go back. Let me go back so we can see that. Sometimes these are really nice inside of it, but I think also, there we go. So here you can see that pointing to the sys user group member, that's how it's going to get that corresponding and let you know, and then it gives that many-to-many relationship. So if we continue in this and we actually save it and then we view it, we can see here that when we select network, and we can see the users that actually have assigned to or have incidents that are assigned to them. And Olga may talk more about this in her demo, actually limiting things or whatnot, if she wants to go a little bit further for that. But that is that many-to-many relationship that she was referring to. So obviously you can create a true false. And for this particular example, which is very, very simple, we're just going to grab the true false and we're going to say active incidents. And basically, I just want to know of the incidents that I have, which are active and which are not. Again, this is a very elementary sort of example, but it kind of gives you the idea of what you can do. So here we look at the incident table, and we're just going to select the active. And this would have to be a field that is that has that particular value. So you needs to there. So now we're saying yes, those are active, and no, those are not active. So again, you have the ability to do true, false. So as long as that is within that particular table or field that you're looking at, you can definitely use the true, false filter. So again, a very elementary sort of example, but this is something that I know is asked for. And again, if there is a field within a particular table that has those values, you can think of the different ways that you can particularly use that. So obviously, you can create a date filter. So we're going to grab a new filter and we're going to create a date filter. And here we're going to point to incidents. And I basically want to see, when the particular incidents were open. And we'll point to the incidents and we'll select the opened field. And super simple. We save that and then we look at that. And here you can say we have open incidents and how many were open in the last 7 days. It will filter that down. Last month, it'll change that. Last example, last 3 months, it'll change that as well. So you can see how you can change that particular data. And then, of course, you can clear the fields. And that clear has been there on most of those as well. So super simple, but you can do some other things. So if you actually wanted to create more or move over some of the available relative date ranges that are there to show up in that list, You can do that by selecting the predefined ranges, which is part of in the configuration menu as well. And then if there was a custom range that you wanted to do for the default value, that would be right underneath it, and you could set that particular value as well. So all of those are predefined and they are there, and the ability to add more is not there at this point unless Olga or Marta want to correct me on that, but I'm pretty sure you have to use what's there, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Just want to make sure. Yeah. So what if you want to actually create a filter and put it inside of the library? So if you were going to, like I said, Platform Analytics in the Filter Navigator and select on filters, and you could create new. And in this particular one, we're creating a very simple one, which is the incident assignment group. And this obviously looks almost exactly the same way, if not the same way that it does inside of the dashboard. But we created that, and we click save, and we'll name it whatever you want to name it. And I would say, just because I think it's important, your name should be very descriptive and probably very distinct. That way, if anybody is using these particular, they can see those. So here you can see when we go to filters, now that incident assignment group is within that particular library. So now that can be used when anyone creates a dashboard and they want to look at anything that is pre-existing. So again, as I said earlier, the analytics filter admin role is what's actually created in order to add filters to the filter library. So if you want to add a save filter to a dashboard, so when we click filter, you would simply just click on filters. And here you can see that same particular one that I created, and I added to a dashboard. And now you can see that I can filter those particular or that open incidents, data visualization, by that filter that I created. So this, from a governance perspective, I think is very, very powerful. So if you're someone that's sort of responsible for the creation of everything, and that's sort of one source of truth, like this is the filter that you should be using, and you communicate that information to your organization, then I would say, create those inside of the library, and then, have people, whenever they create their own dashboards, to say, hey, look inside the library, there's filters there that would most likely work. Maybe not all the time, but I think it's another good way that we've given the ability to put some governance around what actually is being used that's out there. So if you have a filter that's on a dashboard that you want to add to the library, so here we'll create a new filter, and we'll make it a multi-select, and I believe this is incident priority. And we'll look and add our data source. And again, all of the examples that you've seen so far is all against table data. Olga's going to get into looking at some indicator level data and some other things. So here I've added the priority and I've saved that. And when you actually go over to that and you click on the menu there, you can see add to library. And again, we just name it. And if you want to put a description, I'm all about descriptions. I didn't put one in this particular demo, but I'm all about that. And now when we actually go back to the, and you can't see it, it's off the screen here, but Filter Navigator, and I select on filters and I just reload that, you'll see that that incident priority is now a filter that's there. Again, having that particular role is important, and you have to have that. So we'll just pause that if I can. There we go. And you can see that they're both, the other one that I created directly in it and the one that I created directly off of the dashboard are now sitting inside of the library. So use the library as much as you possibly can. And that would be the same thing for data visualizations. That library is there as well. We've talked about that on some other calls. So everything, like I said, that I've showed you up to this point is all based off of the incident table, and the data sources are table. Very simplistic. Very easy things to do. Again, I know that in our enablement toolkit that we've created that's out in the community, we've actually showed how to create filters. So this hopefully is a little bit more collateral for you to not only learn, but also to help your organization learn from as well. So with that, we are going to have some demo and show some more advanced things, but if we need to answer some questions first, we can do that. So if Dan, you've been monitoring these, what we should go with first?
Yeah, let's see.
I think we can do the demo, and I can demo.
Yeah,
some.
I think that
So
would
the
work
demo
best.
might answer some of this. Okay, that works.
I mean, it's easier to show than to explain, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
I think there's one question. I know Marta answered some of them by typing, but I want to show as well. There was a question for one of the question was for the date range, if we are able to show also date and time. So let me go a bit deeper on the settings we have for the date range filter. We have here settings to show time selection. So of course, in the predefined condition, you also can have a lot of smaller options like minutes, hours, which you can add if you're interested more in the smaller intervals. But also in the free dates range selector, if you toggle the allow time selector, you will have this option. In this case, this start and end date will also give you possibility to select a time. Another question we had from the Q&As is, and let me just add filter here, for the Boolean filters. So for the Boolean filters, and all my incidents are active, so it will not have the data. So we, by default, it's true, false, right? Which is regular users don't normally understand. So here you have a label, so you can put it yes, no, you can put it active, closed. So I think that would be good use case for the incident active table. And in this case, now users see active closed here, and it's all active. That's why it's like when it's closed, it doesn't apply because my filter, I already have filters on that. Oh no, I didn't configure to apply for the Boolean filter. Of course, to apply it for the filter data, you also need to select data on which you want to apply it. So it will be incident. And now you can see all the fields in the incident table are only limited for the Boolean field. So you can select the active, and if you want to apply for all the task table, you can also toggle the apply to hierarchy. This meaning that it will apply to all the parents, child, and sibling tables. Now it should work. Additionally, like the configuration of the filters here is the same as Thomas just showed in the demo. And with this configuration alone, all the filters I will show here. So it's configured as a table, a source, but in case you have an indicator with a breakdown based on this field, the regular automated breakdown, it will automatically apply to your indicators as well. So on this page, I have a different visualization based on the tables and one based on indicator. There's data for this, yeah. So you can see it automatically applies for those as well. For example, for the Boolean field, I don't have a breakdown based on the active true false, so you can see that it's not applied. And on the filters, you will see this filter icon, which will tell you which filters are applied and which filters are not applied. In case you want to have the maybe you have dashboard with only indicators, or you have non-automate the indicators with the breakdowns, a scripted breakdown, maybe like age or any manual or external breakdowns. In this case, when configuring, let's select a single select. When you configure data source, you instead of tables, you can select the indicators. And here you can select any breakdown, right? So if we select age, you can apply. So in case for the I don't have data for this. But in case you have any, if you're trying to just have a dashboard with indicators only, You can configure both. You can configure as indicator source or table source. But my personal recommendation would be, if you do that, if you don't have specific preference, just configure it as a table, because it will have all the values which are available, even if the job didn't run yet. With the indicators, it will grab data from the data which is collected. So it could be just easier to select the table. In either way, if I select, for example, for the indicators, I will select assign to, like our assignment group, it would work as well for the tables. You can see it automatically. We pick it up all the tables which are configured in these indicators, and it would work right away. So either way will work for you. Let me delete this one. Let me see if there's any questions related to the regular. Yeah, let's go through that. There were some questions about filtering data. Let's clear all the filters. Let's say we have the filter for the group manager. By default, I just selected user table, so it shows me all the users, even though users who are not managers. So I might want to select it to show only specific, only users who are managers. So for this, first of all, I probably want to show only active users, but then I can also apply the related list conditions to say I want to have at least one record in the in the relationship table group manager. And in this case, just one. Save, save and exit. And now I see only users who are managers. So in this case, it's much easier for me to select it. In case you have, you can also have some dynamic logic. For example, in but this could be done if it's on the reference. If you want to filter based on the reference field. For example, in assignment group, you want to show only assignment groups for the probably will be different use case. If we don't use the cascading filter in this case, maybe you just want to see assignment groups of the users who user is managing. So in this case, here on the configure values, you can select manager. Manager is dynamic me, and in this case, whenever user logs in, it's user will see only assignment groups where this user is manager. So it's not possible for every. There were some use cases if you want to filter it by maybe some title or like the string fields. It's not always possible, but if there's a reference field in the table which is your source, quite often you can do this dynamic filter conditions and apply. It's in the technical dashboard. You can do dynamic logic on any, like the condition on any conditions you want, but in the inline dashboard, it would be if in the source you have any reference, you can quite often apply some dynamic conditions. So it's a little bit personalized for your users, the filter choices they have. We'll skip that just for the use case. Let's look at the use case. There were some use cases if you need to do anything special to apply to the list. So now, as long as you got the configuration we do, it will automatically apply to the list. We don't have yet. I believe that the filter icon is the only kind of limitation, but that's something we are working on. Let's look at options to make chart as active filter. So now we have the option on your any bar chart or pie donor chart families. You can have an option when your table is data source is not yet supported for indicators to make your chart act as a filter. You have to go to the chart interaction section, and in the action by default, it's go to data view. You can change it to the apply as a filter, and in this case, the chart will be acting as a filter. You can see on the hover in the tooltips, it will tell you user as well that it will apply as a filter, and in this case, you can see all the data, if it's applicable, will be filtered by that. It can also work with the combination with like additional group by. If you configure different group bys, you can change group by, and now you have a category as a filter, or you can even have group by and stack by, and you can apply two filters at the same time. I only want to see the software with a priority low, and it would apply for you. So that's one of the use case which we support now as well. So it's any bar chart family and pie donor chart family. You can apply this as well. And you can see on the charts, it will show you if the filters that are applied. Do we have any questions which are?
We have a few questions. I'm just trying to read over them to see whether or not it's going to be something that you cover. I mean, the top question is a cascading filter that talks about from company to department, so on and so forth, all the way down.
So yeah, at this moment, the question is how do you make this work with the company department layers? So as long as you have the company and department are done as a reference field, you will be able to do, as you saw, the cascading logic now requires like some kind of relationship, which is either is many-to-many table or as a reference field. If it's just a string field, that one will not support, like quite often, if it's, for example, on the title or something else, right, that will not work. But for the company and department are typically the reference field in most of the customers. So in this case, you can also create your department filters and then like company and department, as long as there's some kind of relationship between those tables.
Okay, great. And then a couple of other ones. So what release is the chart to act as a filter available? What release did that come with?
Washington.
Washington. Okay.
Right? Or is it February store release on top of Washington?
No, it's Washington. Yep.
Washington, yeah.
Okay, great. And then are there any out-of-the-box filters or templates with the ITSM Pro and or ITSM Enterprise license? Are there any out-of-the-box filters that are coming, but in general? I know that on my instance, when I loaded Washington, I
We
didn't
don't have it in the Washington yet, but I think we might have it in the coming releases because we are working now with the teams to add more out-of-the-box content and migrate all the existing filters.
Yeah.
So once you also migrate all your existing filters, they are migrated as a library filters for everything which we support.
Okay.
And then all the standard stuff as the like state, priority, assignment group, etc., would be available.
Yeah. So safe harbor, some things are coming. And then one is regarding a previous questions. Currently, there's not an option for out of the box to use date range for begin date and end date. Is that now available, or can we create a custom one, or could that be the custom date range that's in the configuration panel?
You can just configure. I'm not sure if it should be available for for many releases now. I don't even remember the release when we didn't have it. I think it's from the very beginning when the date range is done. I know that in the responsive dashboard and the core UI dashboard, we didn't have this option, but now it's possible. If you have any saved filters, you can create a version of it with the date time selection, or change your existing date range filter to have this option available. I'm not sure if you always want to have available, because quite often, if you especially work with maybe indicators, you don't want to have time and selection, because for indicators, it's typically the daily frequency is a minimum, so you wouldn't want that. But whenever you work with the records, if that makes for you sense for your use cases, definitely you can just toggle the setting and it will be available for you. Should be for any instances which we are supported. You should have this option. That's not. And I might be wrong. Maybe we edited in Vancouver somewhere, but it was long time ago. And I think Utah already has it, but I'm not sure, Marta, if you remember when we edited.
No, I also feel that has been there for a little
It was not from the beginning. I know we edited at some point, but many releases.
Utah, Vancouver.
Yeah. Utah, so I think pretty much all the customers already should have this available.
Okay, great. So there's one in chat, and it said, and I thought you did this, but maybe not. Can you please show drill down from a chart to a lower level?
Yeah.
I know that you had one. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. So generally, so on this chart, I configured to act as a filter, so it will not. So you have to choose whether you want to drill down work or act as a filter. By default, everything is configured as a drill down. If a table is a data source, you will go to the list. So it's a standard core UI list from the dashboards with all the filters which you had applied. If you are on the indicators, you will go to the KPI details. Again, from the list, again, you can go to the list through the view all, or you can open directly the record. Both list and records are in the core UI. So like all the layouts you have will be there with your default views, which user has.
And can't you also, if you wanted to point it to a URL within the instance, you could do that as well?
Yeah. So this is the options we have on the configuration. So you can disable drill down. If it's like, I don't want to drill down to work, you can disable it. Don't allow interaction. And then you have three options. For the table, you have three options. For the if it's any other data source type like performance analytics, it will be two options. You can go to data view. This is a default. You drill down. And the second one, you can go to the URL, and in this case, you will select your URL and the name of it. So it shows in the drill down in the tooltip. The URL can be either internal within your instance, or it can be external. So you can redirect to anywhere you want with that. Yeah, I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, and then the last one is, can you drill through to another report? Like what would have been data sets back in the day?
You can, but in which release, Marta? I don't remember.
It's still compatible with Washington, but has been released as part of the February store release. So I think if you are going to the store for platform analytics and you search for like platform analytics, anything that has the version name as 4.2, that will have the drill down chart to chart capability. That is also configurable. It's configurable only from the visualization designer.
Yeah, so you will have to go to the library. So you go to the library, you will add your, let's say we'll add our donut chart. Let's say that. And here in the chart interactions, drill down to the chart, you have also as an option. And in this case, you can configure to drill down to the, maybe I want to drill down based on the assignment group. Then I go up one level. You can also change the chart type as well. Like let's say we'll do it the Pareto.
So we should probably ask this as you're doing it, because I'm sure, how many levels can you go?
Do we have a limit, Marta, for the levels?
No, we haven't added any limit.
For the usability, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, saying that you shouldn't do it 30
otherwise
times,
users will
but
get lost very fast.
yeah, yeah.
Like 1 or 2 levels probably is a good, like one level is pretty good use case. Other that is the more level you get, the more mental load for the user it is.
Yeah,
And
I
then
think
now when you go down, it will go to the lower levels filtered by this data. You can right away see that it's filtered. I should have given the better name on the chart. But yeah, that's and to go back, you can you just go back to on the level up. And then once you add, you can then add this save chart to the dashboard, and then you will have these capabilities on the dashboard itself. But configuration is on, it has to be saved in the library to configure it, because configuration is a little bit complex with all the different levels. So for the space, it's you do it in the library. And just quickly to show one more capability while we have time for the to configure the filters with the performance analytics data. Let's say you have your dashboard with your performance analytic indicators, and you want to apply the filter over time. So to allow you to go back in time and see the state of your KPIs last month, specific period, etc. Previously, we didn't have these capabilities in the core UI, but it is available in the new dashboard. So let's add a filter, a date filter on the top of my dashboard, date range. I don't need to configure anything else. I'm happy with the defaults. You can see it automatically will follow the KPIs. But if I save and exit, change a bit. You can see that by default, it will not apply to the non-time series data. So for example, single score itself and the bar chart will not apply. The spark line below will change, but my score and here, you can see the date range is not applied. So if you wanted to follow date range filter, you have to have one extra configuration. For the non-time series charts, when the indicator is selected as a source, you will have this date range section. You click the apply date range, and you can select the logic, how like what do you want to do with the scores? Because for performance analytics, it's just you collecting scores, right? If it's daily indicator every day, so you need to decide what do you want to do with the scores. We have few options. You can show the latest score for the selected period. So if I select data from 2nd of June to 11th of June, I can do the value at the end of the period. So on the 11th of June. I can sum the scores, which doesn't make sense for the open incidents because it is kind of progressive. It would make sense, for example, if it's new incidents, because we track the how many incidents were created this day. The sum would be great options for this. For the open incidents, I think the good options is either show latest score or show the average. So it will be average for the selected period. So let's for this single score, we'll put the latest score. And also for single score, you can also decide what your change will show. So you can also configure that your change will show, instead of, by default, it's comparison with the previous period. So if you do, the latest score will show me data on the June 11, and it's compared with June 7. If I would select an average, then I do the average from the June 2 to June 11, and it will compare with the previous 7 days. Or how many days is select previous 9 days before that, the same number of days before. But if I select the latest score, as in this example, I can also change in the logic of my change. I want to do the change with the beginning of the period. So I can see how much it's changed from the beginning of the period I selected till the end of the period. And on the bar chart, I can do the same, but I can do the average for the selected period. Whenever you do this, it's good to have either in the description on the tooltip or in the on the legend explanation of for the users which logic you're applying, so they know what is happening. And in this case, now you can see that we are following the filter. I can select any period, and I see data for that specific period, and all the data is changed for both the bar chart and the single score. In this case, you can create a dashboard for your project, for your SLAs. You don't need to export it to see how it was before or go to some kind of stored document. You might still need to do it for your legal reasons, but for yourself, you can easily go back in time on the dashboard and see the state for the specific timestamp or the period, how much money you spent, how much, what SLA was at some specific period, etc. Yeah, that's they're working with the time series for the performance analytics indicators. Do we have any questions?
I mean, we have the age-old question that has just went through many releases. Any recommendations on filters for CIs? Have we gotten gained any ground on that?
So, Greg, I assume you're talking about, like what types of what type of filter groupings, like, whether it be by the CI itself or the CI class.
Yeah, I think it's because there's
Or
so many CIs in most people's
yeah,
instance, right? Yeah.
I usually do recommend most of my filtering with customers to go to the class first. So you get computers first, and then have it be a secondary, and then have the ability to break down within a class. Now, even then, you're going to get a huge list potentially, if you're just looking at like computers. But usually, I would make some sort of parent level filter. Might be the CI by CI owner, or by CI location, or something like that as the top level. That's because just from a performance perspective, it's going to be different if you try to do by all CIs. But go ahead if you have other ideas.
One of the other things is like also if you have a very large table, which might be just to load the list of possible options, it's too long. Is also to limit the default number of elements. By default, right. We do lazy loading in the filter. So if you have a long list, we load only X number of elements. If you feel like you're just opening the list is quite slow to retrieve, you might change the limit to the smaller, like maybe 20, probably less than 20 is too little, or like 50. When users search, it's still like you search first and then we apply this lazy loading. But at least it will speed up also the opening of the list. So that could be also one of the tips to look at. But yeah, some relationship could be the good example. The cascading filter in this case could help as well, that you select the class of the CI.
Another option that I have seen work pretty well is putting a related list filter, putting a related list condition, so that instead of looking at all CIs, I might say I'm only going to look at CIs that have been applied to an incident in the last 6 months, or something like that, to where so it like could be on a breakdown where it might do it that way to say, instead of it being, the entire list of CIs, want to make sure it's, only CIs that have been on an incident, or only CIs that have been on a change request over the last X period of time. That I've seen work pretty well too. Because usually that there's not much value in seeing all, a list of all 10 million CIs, which I'm sure is kind of where your question's coming from.
Yeah, the options also could be to filter the list as well. We don't have, the question is like, can you do the filter with a string field? We don't have the possibility to have filters on the string. You can see that you can either select the table itself, like you can just take CI table and your display name would be whatever default display name on this table. Or you can do the choice fields, Boolean fields, date field, or reference field. So this is like 5 options we support at the moment for the filters. So if you're trying to have just a string where you can just type and it's based on the content it will do, we don't do this. Like if you select the CI table itself as a source, then while typing, by default it's probably CI number. Quite often, you have to search by the number in this case. So the string one is not, the text string is currently not supported.
Right. I think it's really important in that scenario to have a field or a property within the CI that allows you to do some sort of reference. Some customers will actually have a flow that would populate a new field based upon data, in a description field or something like that. I've seen that where, but that new field still is a reference or a choice table. I've seen that too.
Steven asking is that there was used to be a hack that for the string field that you put the pie chart using and then use pie chart as a filter. Yeah, the group by, you can still use a group by in the bar, like in the group chart, like pie chart or bar chart, and you can make it act as a filter. That is still possible. But then how many elements? Probably like the bar chart better in this case, because now bar chart also can act as a filter, since it could fit a bit more and easier to read the labels. But again, if you have 3,000 or 3 million of the CIs, that's probably not the best workaround for that.
Then there's that last question with looking for text in the description of an incident, looking for that.
Yeah, this one we don't have at the moment support for the contain within the long text. You can support it on. We still have the compatibility mode, I believe, for the. It was done with the custom filters in the previous dashboard, and Marta, correct me if I'm wrong. Those, when you migrate, will have a compatibility mode. You can achieve this use case in the technical dashboard. You can put
right. That's what I was
input
thinking.
field or something, and then you can apply this logic. But not in the inline dashboard at the moment.
Okay, and there was another question, and I did take note of it, but maybe you can just to make sure. So on the Pareto chart, when you get other, is there any way to move where that other shows up, or making it as part of the cumulative? It kind of just going to show up where that list is, because basically what they're saying is maybe other could be pushed all the way to the right or the left of that, as opposed to being part of that cumulative total, if that makes sense. There's no customization of that.
Others always at the end. So we never put other anywhere else, because it's not actually an element. It's bunch of element.
Well, I don't know if I read his question wrong then, or their question wrong, that I thought that they were saying that it was showing up within it or something. Maybe they could ask that question again. Let me look at it. Hold on. Let me look. Let me go back.
No,
So please put
by default, you can see others in the Pareto is also at the end. So because it's not one element in the Pareto or any other like any chart which is sorted by values, right? Those are your actual values, and this is probably 10 or whatever other elements combined together. So when you see in the operator what is contributing to this, other doesn't make sense. You need to see top elements. So it would never make sense to put other somewhere in the
I
beginning.
think as I'm reading this question back, it said, so side note, as you just showed one, please put add an option to align the other column to the right-hand side of the Pareto charts. It's really useful to have that be a part of the cumulative percentage. So I think what he's saying is, even though it's to the right, take it out of the percentage is what they're saying. If there's an option to do that. So the other is not actually part of that total amount. Well, if you remove other, then yeah, you could do that. Obviously, it would take it out of the percentage, but then it wouldn't show the other. So I that's probably just a one-off. So I don't know.
Mm.
And with that, no, leave it in the percentage, but make it to the far right of the column. It is to the far right of the column. I don't understand what we're missing here. Other is to the far, and it's part of the. Yeah, I don't know what we're missing here. There's a disconnect. Far right, regardless of size. Isn't it still doing that? Just bring Garth off and let him talk, because I don't know that I'm. Hey, Garth, can you help us understand what you're saying? I made it available for you to talk.
Gareth, right?
Gareth, I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Are you there?
Hello?
Yeah, we got you.
Sorry, I'm being stupid. I was, it's because I've got the chat on one screen and the thing on the other. What you're showing me on screen is actually exactly what I wanted. It didn't used to work that way. Clearly, since I haven't tried it in platform analytics, I assumed it was still the same as it was in the old one. But no, you apparently in a recent release, you've already done what I was asking for.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
on previous releases, that other column would have been in the middle of that chart. And
Based on
that's
the
what-
value. Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Yeah,
That makes sense. Yeah.
That's what it used to do a year ago. And sometime since I last tried it, you've fixed it. So ignore me. You've already done what I wanted. You're wonderful people.
Okay, good. Okay, good. All right. So I know that we are over by a few minutes. So let me go ahead and share so we can close this out. Let me first say to everybody that answered questions, truly appreciate it. To everybody who has asked questions, appreciate that as well. And then Olga, thank you for doing a more in-depth a presentation or demo of different things. I know that what we showed early on was very simplistic, but that has its value as well. But I know that what you showed has a lot more value. So this would be a really great thing for our library. So here's some useful links that were used as part of all of this. So they'll be there inside of that as well. We already asked the question. So as usual, check out the community. This will be in the community later on today. If not tomorrow, sorry about that. And then make sure that you're always looking and now learning for anything that has to do with analytics. And make sure that you're looking at our Platform Analytics Enablement Toolkit, which you'll actually creating a filter is probably one of them as well. And as usual, thank you. And for everybody who joined and everybody who answered questions, thank you. Great session. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.